Hey, I'm Adeline. I'm 31 years old and I'm a mother to a 2-year-old boy who is the light of my life. Today, I want to tell you about something that was very scary that happened to my family when my son was just a little under a year old at the hands of my mother-in-law. But before I get into that, I need to tell you about my relationship. I met my husband Freddie at a mutual friend's engagement party. We had been sitting at the same table, and so we got to talking. We quickly realized that we had a lot in common and exchanged phone numbers. We got to talking after that, and that led to us going out on a few dates before finally becoming an official couple. Freddie truly was the man of my dreams. He was kind, caring, and very funny. We shared a lot of the same ideals and values, so I really did hit the jackpot with him. He was perfect, except maybe one thing. Freddie was relatively close with his family, which consisted of just his mother and his older sister. Now, after a year of dating, he decided to introduce me to his mom and sister. While his sister, Jody, absolutely adored me, his mother, Emilia, hated me. She was rude and insulted me based on everything I told them about myself. Thankfully, Freddie stood up for me and we ended up leaving after. However, Emilia's treating me poorly was something that continued to happen for the rest of the time that I was around her. I only bore it because I loved Freddie with my entire soul. Freddie asked me to marry him after we had been dating for 3 years, and we had a pretty small ceremony with only our closest friends and family around. Emilia was not happy that Freddie and I got married, and she made it her job to tell me about it every time she met me. It hurt like crazy to constantly be told that I was not good enough for her son. But I learned to bear with that too. About 1.5 years into our marriage, I got pregnant. I was going to have the first grandchild on both sides of the family, and that was something that made me something of a celebrity in our families. Emilia treated me differently than she usually did. She wasn't as mean, but she wasn't nice either. She kept telling me that she hoped I'd be a good mother because I had been blessed to get pregnant without trying as hard. You see, my sister-in-law Jody had been married for 10 years and had been trying to have children from the start of her marriage. Emilia was devastated that Jody couldn't give her grandchildren, but since she wanted grandchildren so badly, she was willing to treat me nicely so that I could be around my child. I was grateful for better treatment from Emilia because my pregnancy was difficult on my body and my mind. Giving birth to my son, Max, was the best thing that had ever happened to me. He was Freddie's and my pride and joy. We kept to ourselves for the first 3 months of Max's life. We wanted to bond with Max, so we didn't allow any family to visit for 3 months. That did not make Emilia happy. She hated that we kept away from her grandson, so she started taking her frustration out on me again. She began calling me at all times of the day and demanding that I send her pictures and videos of Max. If I didn't comply, she would show up at my place and begin banging at the door till I sent her the pictures. Yeah, the first few months after Max was born were difficult. I only got 4 months of maternity leave, so after that was done, I had to go back to work. During that time, I had my mom help out with babysitting. When Emilia found out that my mom was babysitting for me while I worked, she was livid. She threw the biggest fit I had ever seen. She began spamming me with calls and messages about how I should not be working and how she felt left out, that I hadn't asked for her help with babysitting. I could only fix one of those complaints, so I did. I began letting Emilia babysit once every 2 weeks or so, and only for short amounts of time. One day, however, I had to rush into work on a weekend. My mom was out of town and so was Freddie. I had no choice but to ask Emilia for help. She did not seem pleased because apparently she had a friend who she had to meet and she did not want to waste her Saturday babysitting. Thankfully, after a lot of pleading, she agreed. I ended up running late after work, and when I got to Emilia's place to pick Max up, Emilia was furious. "Where have you been?" "I'm so sorry, Emilia. I got caught up with work. I had a last-minute meeting and I tried my best to make it here as soon as possible." "I don't care about your excuses. Do you think that I have all the time in the world to keep babysitting your child?" I'm sorry. I didn't mean to be a bother. I'll hire a babysitter instead so you won't have to take care of Max." "Don't make me seem like some evil grandmother who hates taking care of her grandchild." "I was not trying to do that." "Look, I don't understand why you have to work at all. As a woman, you're supposed to stay at home and make sure that everything is ready for your husband when he gets back home." "That is not very feasible. I let it go at first. Freddie didn't seem to have a problem with it, so I didn't open my mouth. But now that you have a son, you need to wake up and realize that you're a mother." "Are you suggesting that I stop working?" "Of course. I don't want to do that at all. I spent a good portion of my life working towards furthering my career. I spent a lot of time, energy, and money on it. I'm not going to give up on it right now when I'm so close to getting to my dream." "So, you're just going to give up on your duties as a mother because of your dreams? Do you understand how selfish you sound? Max needs a better role model than you." "Whatever I'm doing it to give Max the best future that I can. Once I reach my dream, I will be able to spend as much time as I want with Max while also having the peace of mind that his future will be taken care of." "Is losing time with Max worth the future he might have? You need to stop dreaming about your career. You're a mother now. You need to get that into your head. You don't have the liberty to do whatever you want. Motherhood is all about sacrifice, and you have to do it if you want to be a good mother. You're lucky you got to be a mother in the first place. You have no idea how many people have been struggling to be mothers, and yet here you are, barely doing your duties as a mother. I think I know what's best for my child, Emilia. I appreciate all your concerns, but everything I do for Max is done after talking about it with Freddie. So if you disagree with something I'm doing, you're also disagreeing with Freddie. Men don't know anything about raising a child. You need to take control of things as a mother. And believe me, if you keep talking about your dream nonsense and don't give up on your work, I will give Max to Jody. She's been longing for a baby for so long, and I know for a fact that she would be a much better mother than you'd ever be." "Well, you sound a little crazy. I'm going to go. You don't have to bother too much with Max anymore. I'll make sure I tell Freddie as much. Thank you for looking after Max today. Bye." I was angry, but I kept my mouth shut out of respect because Emilia was my mother-in-law. It's the only reason that I hadn't lashed out at her for so long. I made sure that I maintained my boundaries, but it's not like any of that mattered because boundaries did not exist to Emilia. I didn't tell Freddie about my conversation with Emilia because I did not want to start things between Freddie and Emilia. I knew that Freddie would stand up for me in a heartbeat, but I also knew that taking care of Max had tired him out and made him extremely cranky. I did not want Freddie saying something to his mother that would only make things worse for us. But what I did do was ask him if we could hire a babysitter or a nanny. I told him that I didn't want to keep relying on family to babysit for us. Freddie was on board with the idea, and we decided to start by hiring a babysitter. We found Lacey, a 17-year-old in our neighborhood, who needed to earn extra money on the side, so was more than willing to be our babysitter. About a month after we hired Lacey, Emilia invited us to dinner with her. However, Freddie and I ended up running a little late. When we got there, Emilia greeted us warmly, although I could tell that she was a little annoyed. "Welcome, you guys. The food's still hot, and now we can finally eat." "Hi, Mom. Sorry we ran late. It took Lacey quite a while to get Max to calm down." "Who's Lacey? Did you finally divorce that sorry excuse of a wife?" "What? No." "No, Emilia, I'm still here. Lacey is our babysitter. Just as we were about to leave, Max began screaming and crying. We waited until he'd calmed down before we came." "Oh, so you haven't quit your job yet?" "Quit her job? Why in the world would she do that?" She thinks I'm a horrible mother for having dreams of my own and pursuing my career instead of staying at home and taking care of you and Max. Mom, I love you, but that's an incredibly outdated point of view. It may be outdated, but it started because it was the right way of life. I did that and I lived a very fulfilled life. I don't understand why it's so hard for Adeline to follow. It's not hard for me to follow. I just don't want to do that. I respect you for being able to do that, but in the most respectful manner, that kind of life feels constricting and boring to me. I don't want Max growing up with a mother who's miserable at home. Are you saying that I look miserable? I did not say that at all. I'm sorry I made you feel that way, but I just don't want to live life that way. Besides, in this economy, both Adeline and I need to work to make sure we're all taken care of. I earn just enough for Amelia and me to live comfortably. If Amelia didn't work, we'd have to give up quite a few things and live paycheck to paycheck. Do you think that's the better way of life? Nobody said that life would be easy. You know that we never had it very easy. And yet here we are, living comfortably and having good relationships. Is that really so hard to achieve? Yes, and that worked out in your generation. However, right now, we financially cannot afford to live traditionally. Well, if you can't do it, then I'm sure that Jody would appreciate the chance to do it. Jody? What does she have to do with any of this? Well, your mother threatened to give Max to Jody if I don't quit my job. What? I mean, I think that's a fair compromise. Max will grow up seeing his biological mother frequently, while also having a good mother who would devote her entire time to taking care of him. You cannot be serious. Oh, believe me, I'm more serious than you think. There should be good punishments for those mothers who work and do not appreciate their babies. You sound absolutely insane. Do you have any idea about what you're actually implying? You can't choose who mothers a child just based on who would not work a job. I can and I will do what I said if Adeline does not quit her job in the next 2 weeks. You know what? I don't want to be here. You're not only beginning to scare me, but you're going to make me say some really hurtful things. Adeline, I'm going to go home. Are you coming with? Absolutely. Freddie was fuming as we walked out. He couldn't stop apologizing for the way his mother behaved. I didn't need any apologies from him. He always stood up for me. I just wanted Amelia to see where she was going wrong. I wanted Amelia to be a little more open-minded because she was beginning to terrify me. As the days went on, I couldn't shake off the feeling that Amelia was not joking about what she wanted to do. I discussed my fears with Freddie, and he, too, had been feeling the same way. We wanted to take matters into our own hands, so the first thing we did was call Jody, Freddie's sister. We asked her if we could meet up for lunch, and she said yes. Now, Jody and I actually had a great relationship. We became really close after Freddie first introduced us to each other. I knew that there was no way that Jody would be on board with Amelia's plan. Yes, she wanted to have kids of her own, but Jody would never want to take away another mother's child. We got to the restaurant first, and Jody got there 15 minutes after us. She greeted us happily before quickly realizing that we were behaving differently. Hey guys, is everything all right? Yeah, we just needed to talk to you about something. I hope I'm not in trouble for anything. Not really. Okay, you guys are really serious. You're beginning to scare me. Just spit it out already. Your mother has been saying some concerning things recently. We needed to talk to you about it. When is Mom not saying some concerning things? Yeah, I know, but this time it's different. She sounded a little too serious. Oh? What did she say? Well, to give you a little background information, she does not like the fact that I'm a working mother, and she thinks that I do not appreciate Max enough. Huh? Yeah, and she's threatened me twice now to take Max from me and give him to you because she thinks that you'd be a much better mother than me. That's not legal at all. Yeah, we know, but you know how Mom can be more than insane about the things that she truly believes. She feels horrible that you haven't been able to have a child, and apparently child swapping is the best way for you to have a child. You're right. This is beyond insane and actually very concerning. Do you guys really think that she'll try to take Max away from you and give him to me? The thing is, we have no way of knowing. She seemed very serious when she was telling us about it, but I have no idea how she could go about doing that. I know that we're close and that I know you well enough to know that you would not want what Emilia's planning to do, but I just wanted to hear you confirm that for me. Oh, believe me, I love Max with all my heart, and I'm also incredibly upset that I haven't been able to have a child, but I would never dream of separating a mother from her child, especially my nephew and his mother. I would never in a million years agree with Mom's horrendous plan. All right, that's reassuring. Yes, but hypothetically, if Emilia does manage to bring Max over to you, could you secretly inform me? I don't want her running off with Max if she finds out that I knew what she did. Of course, I'll always have your backs. I cannot even begin to tell you how relieved I felt when Jody assured us that she would have our backs, and Freddie and I were very smart to have approached Jody in advance because our fear came true only a month later. In the month leading up to the incident, Freddie and I were very cautious about being around Emilia. We informed the police about what we were scared of and asked them if there was anything they could do. They said that since Emilia hadn't done anything, they couldn't do anything. But they advised us to keep Max away from Emilia for a while. That is what we did. Emilia kept asking when she would be able to babysit Max again, and she would get really agitated when Freddie and I told her that her help wasn't needed. And then one day, she invited us over to lunch once that month. We didn't bring Max along, and I guess she overheard my conversation with Jody where we were talking about work, because Emilia began yelling at me for still working. Once again, Freddie and I ended up leaving the event early. A week later, I got back home from work and found my front door open. I immediately felt my stomach drop. I rushed into the house and called out for Lacey, but I got no response. I walked into the living room and saw Lacey passed out on the couch. I screamed. I genuinely thought that Lacey was dead, but after checking her pulse, I was beyond relieved that she was alive. I looked around the house after that for Max and found him nowhere. I was terrified. I figured that Emilia had been there to steal Max and had drugged Lacey, but I needed proof. I managed to get Lacey awake after a lot of shaking her, but she was still very loopy from the drug that she was given. Lacey, oh my God, you're finally awake. Oh, my head hurts really bad. What happened? That's what I need to know as well. I don't remember much. I just know that I don't feel so good. Okay, I need you to focus on me. Max is not here and he may be in danger. Could you please try to focus and tell me who did this to you? Oh no, what? Do you mean Max isn't here? He's not in his crib and he's not anywhere else in the house. That is why I need you to think really hard. I'll get you to the hospital as soon as possible, but I need to file a report with the police and every second counts here. Please think as hard as you can. Okay, I remember putting Max down after I fed him and then, Lacey, you need to stay awake. Focus. I'm so sorry. I have no idea what's wrong with me. I just feel so sleepy. I know. You were definitely drugged by someone who wanted to take the baby. Do you remember who you let into the house? Yeah, this lady came over. She said that she was Freddie's mother. I didn't believe her at first, but then she showed me her ID and a picture of Freddie when he was a child, so I let her in. Oh God, I can't believe she actually went that far. I'm so sorry. I had no idea that she was a dangerous woman. If I knew, I would never have let her come in the house and hurt Max like that. I'm so sorry. You have nothing to apologize for. Freddie and I should have told you about his crazy mother. You didn't know any better, so it's okay. Do you remember how she drugged you? She walked in and started playing with Max. I let her spend time with him for a while, and I began washing Max's clothes. Then I realized it was time for Max to eat, so I got him some baby food. She walked out of the room while I was feeding Max and only came back when I was done. She had 2 cups of coffee in her hand. She handed me one and I said no at first because I didn't want it, but she insisted that I drink it because she thought I deserved a break. I drank it, and now here I am. I don't remember anything that happened after that. I'm so sorry, Adeline. Don't apologize, Lacey. It's all okay. At least we know that Emilia drugged you using coffee. I need you to do me a favor now. You need to stay awake for a few more minutes while I report Emilia to the police. Then I'll take you to the hospital, okay? Yeah, I just hope that Max is okay. I don't think that she'll hurt him, but what she did was kidnapping, and we need to find her as soon as possible. Hold on, okay? I'll make that call. I immediately dialed 911 and managed to get all the details I needed to give across. The dispatcher told me that police officers would come over as soon as possible, as would EMTs for Lacey. While waiting for the authorities to show up, I called Freddie to let him know about what happened. Freddie was just as terrified as me, and he rushed home from work immediately. The authorities showed up within 10 minutes and took my statements. They saw that I had a Ring doorbell, the one that recorded everything that happened in front of my door, and asked me to access the footage. In my panic, I completely forgot that I had proof there. And of course, after going through the footage, we saw Emilia walk into the house empty-handed and then walk out with Max in her arms. The police officers immediately worked towards tracking Max and Emilia down. They asked me if I would have any idea where Emilia could take Max. Of course, I knew that Emilia wanted to give Max to Jody, so I quickly texted Jody and asked her if she had Max. Jody responded pretty much immediately. She told me that Emilia had just dropped Max off before driving off. I felt beyond relief that Max was safe. I filled Jody in on what had happened, and she was horrified. She assured me that she would keep Max safe and away from Emilia if Emilia showed up, and also told me to focus on helping the police officers find Emilia. The officers and I worked towards triangulating Emilia's location. We figured that we would call Emilia and triangulate her location using cell towers. We needed Emilia to talk to me for at least 3 minutes, so I called Emilia over and over again until she finally picked the call up. What do you want, Adeline? Where are you? I'm at home. Why? Don't play dumb right now. Where are you? And do you have Max? What do you mean? Why would I have Max? Did you lose him or something? You know very well that's not the case. You came into my house, drugged my babysitter, and kidnapped my son. You need to bring him back as soon as possible. You have no proof of me doing any of that. You're throwing crazy accusations my way, and I will not bend to them. I have video evidence of you walking into my house and then walking out of it with Max in your arms. No, you don't. My doorbell comes with a camera. I got more than enough proof of you kidnapping my child from my home. It was not kidnapping. Stop calling it that. Oh, really? Then what do you call walking into someone's home and taking their child without their consent? I gave you a deadline. I did not kidnap Max. I simply took him out of your house to give him a better life, something you never could have done because you're a selfish, stuck-up brat who cannot see anything past herself. Nobody will listen to your stupid and pathetic reasons for taking a child out of their home without their parents' consent. You're going to regret doing that. You have absolutely no way of finding me. Oh, I know exactly where you are. Besides, there's been an Amber Alert put out for Max, so good luck getting anywhere without people recognizing him. You think you can scare me into giving Max back to you? I don't care what you do to me because I know that what I'm doing is the right thing for him. You have no idea what it's like to grow up without a present mother, but I do. So I definitely will not let that happen to my only grandchild. You're insane. Why do you think that I'm trying to ruin Max by working? If anything, you're the one who's going to ruin Max by following your plan. Do you seriously think that Max will be okay when he finds out that his mother is not his mother but his aunt, and his aunt is his mother? Do you think he'll ever forgive you for doing something so horrible to him over such a stupid reason? You haven't even thought your plan out entirely. I know exactly what I'm doing. I don't care if Max will hate me in the future. I just know that I do not want Max growing up with an absent mother. I don't want to talk to you anymore. I have bigger things to focus on. Bye. Emilia hung up on me and I felt my heart pounding. I turned to look at the police officers who assured me that they had triangulated Emilia's location. They hurried to catch her while I paced up and down the house in anxiety. Freddie was no better. He was doing his best to remain calm, and I was glad that he hadn't taken his anger out on Emilia as yet, because I couldn't have him ruining the police's efforts. Of course, there wasn't really an Amber Alert put out, but I just needed to get Emilia to talk a little while longer. It barely took an hour for the police officers to find Emilia. They quickly arrested her, but of course, she did put up quite a fight, apparently. I didn't get to see her until the hearing in court. Emilia's lawyers tried to defend her to the best of their abilities, but I guess she never told them about just how hard she tried to get me to give Max up. I had screenshots of text, videos, and audio recordings of Emilia telling me I was a horrible mother and how she wanted to give Max to Jody. There was not much to defend, so Emilia was sentenced pretty quickly to 5 years in jail. Aside from that, she was also ordered to pay a hefty fine for drugging a minor and was sentenced to 150 hours of community service. Emilia did not hesitate to loudly admit in court after her sentencing how I was a horrible mother and that as soon as she came out of prison, she was going to take Max away from me again. And the next time, she would succeed. I was terrified, if I'm being completely honest, so I quickly got a restraining order against Emilia for our family. The judge granted it without even needing to hear anything more. After Emilia had been put in prison, I felt like I could finally breathe. I couldn't believe how my life had devolved into what it was, but I was honestly just glad that things were going to go back to normal. It took a while for me to get over my fear of losing Max, but after quite a few therapy sessions, I can successfully say that I'm a lot better now. Freddie and I are also doing better as a couple, and Lacey too has recovered well from being drugged. Rest assured, I'm still a working mother, and I even got promoted to a better position last month. I know that there's no way to look but up now. And I'm excited for the future because it's no longer overshadowed by dread about Emilia's involvement in it. Thanks for listening to my